All right, you guys, we are back in Dallas from our 3 weeks in Las Vegas. Huge shout out to Ethan for letting me crash with him for 3 weeks. We're still friends, go figure. But came back and I got a package in the mail. We got a package from YouTube. Yeah, I put this over so you can't see my address and show up at my front door. This is a big package. What is this? The 100K subscriber plaque. And spoiler alert, we're already at 500,000 subscribers. It's been so short of a time from 100K to 500K that I didn't even have time to open up this package yet. So we're gonna do this on stream. If you guys wanna skip through this and some of my analytics I'm gonna show you, so you know I'm not buying subscribers, I'm gonna go into depth into some of my videos here. You can click one of the links up here. It'll be a timestamp moving you right along to my session at the Bellagio with Ethan. But as for now, we're gonna unbox this, haven't opened this yet, and then get into 3 of my best performing shorts. Let's go, come on, let's check this out here. This is what everybody dreams of. When you start your YouTube channel, man, this is surreal just opening this. I wanna say a huge shout out to everyone watching right now. This is crazy. Also, huge shout out to Rick for packaged with great care. That's pretty cool to tell you who packaged it. Almost dropped it. Dropped that though. I don't know what's in frame there, but this is freaking awesome, you guys. Wolfgang Poker passing 100 subscribers, not 100 subscribers, passing 100,000 subscribers. Can't even talk right now. Getting a little choked up. This is awesome. I remember when I started my channel playing 1-2 and 1-3 at the Bicycle and Agua Caliente in California. Little did I know, a few years later, we'd be hitting this, and there is another plaque at 1 million. And I am over halfway there. So this is gonna go up on the wall somewhere. We got the Wolfgang Bang metal thing. We got the card. We got all the James Bonds up there. This is gonna go up next to it in my office here in Dallas. But I just mentioned we are halfway to 1 million subscribers. How did I get there so fast? A lot of people are commenting that I'm purchasing subscribers, which is wrong for 2 reasons. A, if you know anything about me and my character, I would never do that. That would just totally invalidate the entire credibility of my channel and something I've worked so hard for. So rest assured, I'm not doing that. But if you need proof, I'm gonna go into depth into some of my shorts and show you how many subscribers I got per video, which is mind-blowing. But the second reason really is YouTube will not verify your channel with that gray check mark unless they go through your channel and audit it one by one. So YouTube will not give me that check mark without going into my backend analytics and making sure that everything I have done is up to their standards and I have not purchased any subscribers. Let's go right into some of these videos here. We're gonna pick out 3 of them. My 3 best ones, they are all shorts. Newsflash, the wave on YouTube right now is shorts. If you're not adapting and keeping up with the times, you're gonna get left behind or just grow a little bit slower than the rest of us who are doing shorts. In the beginning, I was only posting vlogs. They introduced shorts, and at first, you were not making much money from it. Now, it's pretty decent, and more than that, I care about the subscribers. That is the long-term goal, is to reach 1 million subscribers, and the money will follow with that. But you gotta do what you love to do, and I love making videos. I love playing poker 2 to 3 times a week. This video got 67.8 million views, 121,000 subscribers, and I posted it April 18th, which is a while ago, still getting 500,000 views a day. You can see the trajectory here on the subscribers. This went from like 7,000 to 88,000 subscribers on May 12th. Absolutely nuts. 68 million views. The next one's trending right now. This one is peaking at the moment. We have 61,000 subscribers gained off of this one video alone, 27 million views. In the last 2 days, I have 5.2 million views. Absolutely gnarly. And the third video, 16 million views, 32,000 subscribers, insane trajectory. Those are my 3 best performing shorts. If you go back to my overall channel here and look at the last 90 days, 531,000 subscribers. Absolutely insane. We have a ton of views in the last 2 days, and you can see we have peaks of 17 million views on May 9th. That is absurd. And then currently we're peaking again, 7.4 million views, 460,000 subscribers in the last 90 days. Pretty insane. And on those peaks again, on May 9th, we gained 43,000 subs, and then July 17th, just a few days ago, 17,000 subs in 1 day. Absolutely absurd. You can see it's all coming from shorts. Gotta be making shorts if you guys are watching out there, other content creators that are a little smaller than myself, but absolutely absurd. We have passed all of our idols in the poker YouTube space. I think there's only a handful left to catch. I think Daniel Negreanu is one of them, so if you're watching right now, Daniel, I'm coming for you, man. And then we're coming for that gold plaque. We wanna put that next to this one. If you guys have made it this far and are longtime subscribers of my channel, leave a comment down below what you came from. Was it a vlog? Do you remember the first vlog you watched of mine? Is it from a short recently? Let me know down below. I want to see how many subscribers of you that are watching this video came from shorts or vlogs. And if you remember the vlog, leave it down below. Really appreciate from the bottom of my heart all of the success that I've had in the past few months and the last few years. Couldn't have done it without you guys. I got Pocket Sevens merch. That link's down below if you want to cop a hat. But as for now, we're going to go back in time a week to the Bellagio. I played a session with Ethan. It was a great one. Appreciate all the support, you guys. Let's get right into the hands. Let's go. This session started right after midnight. Ethan and I decided we had the itch. We just finished up a Disney movie, as a lot of 26-year-olds are doing these days, watching Disney. Yeah, we decided we gotta gamble. Go head over to the Bellagio and hop into the 10-20-40 game. I come in for $7,000, and let's just say Ethan has me covered. First hand of the night, of course, it wouldn't be fitting unless Ethan had position on me on my left. I start off with an open to $120 with pocket nueves, and Ethan is going to assert his dominance right off the bat. 3-bets me to $400. Obviously, you can't go anywhere. I'm not 4-betting from out of position here with pocket nines, so that leaves me with one decision. That's putting in the call. And we see a decent flop, which comes queen 5-5. There are 2 diamonds out there, so some of his diamond combos will have a flush draw. Of course, his range is uncapped. He could still have queens, kings, aces, ace, queen, all that good stuff. So I start with a check. Ethan's a good player. He knows this and fires out for 260. And I'd be a nit to fold right off the bat. So I call with my nines. 2 pair is hard to make in poker, and I have it. I put in the call, and that leads us off to a turn, which comes a pretty big blank. Don't really think Ethan's going to have pocket sixes too much. He's still going to have all those strong queens, his diamond flush draws, maybe even a hand like jacks or tens. I think those 2 hands would check behind on this turn. So when I check it over to him for a second time, and now he goes for a second bet, kind of could eliminate some of those hands. His sizing, though, is a little bit strange. He overbets the turn for $1,900. It's a polarizing bet, meaning he either has one of 2 types of hands. At least I think he has a diamond draw or a very strong hand like queens, kings, or aces and is going for max value. Either way, I'm not going to let him take my entire $7,000 stack in the first hand. So I find a fold here, and I guess we'll have to watch his vlog to see what he had. Setting the tone early. What a class act Ethan is, giving me the middle finger after taking my chips. That's the nature of the beast here in these high-stakes games. A lot of regs, miserable regs out there. And yeah, we find ourselves in the next hand here. I'm in the big blind and raise it up to $150 with a beautiful ace-3 of clubs. There was a limper from the button. That's why I decided to size up. And I guess if it's good for 40 bucks, it's good for 150. He puts in the call, leading us off to a pretty great flop, which comes ace-7 deuce rainbow. Out of position, I start with a check. Now you might be wondering, Wolfgang, why are you checking when you made top pair? Well, you gotta have a mixed strategy, and occasionally it is good to throw in some strong hands into your out of position checking range. It's a lot of nerdy stuff. I start with the check here. That's all you need to know, and the action checks through. The turn brings in the 5 of spades, and now I need to get value from an assortment of hands, for instance, 7-8, 7-6, maybe even a hand like tens or nines that decided to limp call. That would be a little bit strange. There is a backdoor spade draw and a backdoor straight draw being 6-8 and 6-4. So I bet out for $120. The villain puts in the call, leading us off to the river, which gives me 2 pair. Comes the 5 of hearts and the action's on me. Do I think I can get called by worse? Sure, but it would be a very thin value bet. I'd be targeting hands exclusively like pocket sixes, pocket eights, 7-8, 7-6. And yeah, if I go for a bet, he could raise me with any better ace. He would snap me with any better ace as well. and he also could raise some of his busted straight draws and busted spade draws. I think in the long run, betting here has a lot of merit. I decided to check in the moment thinking I couldn't get a lot of value from worse. He checks behind, I turn over my cards, and he mucks, showing Jack 7 of hearts. Undecided if he would have called another bet there on the river. I would have had to have gone small, but yeah, on the fence there, wondering if he would have put in more money. It's doubtful, but good idea to think if you can get called by worse. I decided not to here, but we're scooping in that $600 pot. All right, our stack size has continued to remain the same. We look down at 6-5 of hearts here and raise it up to $120. A villain in the small blind doesn't 3-bet, instead puts in the call. The straddle puts in the call as well. Just like that, we are going 3 ways to a flop in position, which gives me the front door heart draw, and the action checks over to me. This is a great board to go for a c-bet on. I am multi-way, so usually you'll start with a lot of caution, but there's an ace, a king out there, and I have the flush draw in my hand, so there's 380 in the middle, and I decide on a sizing of around half pot, which comes $160. Small blinds out of the way, the straddle decides to check raise me to 480. What is he repping? Pocket fours exclusively? He really shouldn't have aces or kings. Ace-king also seems very unlikely. So given the fact there's no other draws other than hearts and pocket fours would make a lot of sense. Proceeding with caution here, I just decided to put in the call. Would be pretty nitty to fold right off the bat. But alarm bells are going off in my head. I'm thinking it's pocket fours. It could also be some random assortment of hearts. But I have 2 of them, makes it a little bit less likely. I put in the call and we are going off to the turn. Turn pairs the board now. It comes the ace of diamonds. Much better card for my range than his. But don't tell him that. He's playing the 10-20-40 game and rips it all in my face. $1,400, a nearly pot-sized bet. And I'm put in a very weird spot. At this point, I'm playing 6 high, but I have the front door heart draw. So I'm looking for 1 of 9 heart cards. So that gives me around 20% equity. However, if he has pocket fours, I'm already dead. And like you heard me on the flop, that's one of the hands that I'm putting him on. So I think this is a no-brainer fold. Just sometimes you got to fold it. You can't get married to a hand. I have a lot of outs. I have 9 of them to be exact. But given the fact I could be already dead, make a very disciplined fold here. After I reluctantly fold my 6-high flush draw, the opponent kindly shows me ace deuce. Check raises me on the flop with an ace. Gets there on the turn with 3 of a kind. I shouldn't say get there because he already had it. And goes for maximum value. He's scooping in that $2,700 pot. And it's nice to know sometimes what the opponents have. Great fold by me. I wasn't dead, so I could have had 9 hearts, but still, pretty decent fold. Moving right along into the next one, we look down at the beautiful 7 deuce of diamonds. I just want to say, you're watching my vlog, you might assume I'm playing 7 deuce, that the game must be on. What do you mean by the game? The 7 deuce game, where if you win with it, everyone owes you some assortment of money between $25, $50, $100. Well, you'd be wrong. The game is not on, but I want to show this table that I came to play. I decided to play it anyways. There's a limp for $80, and I'm going to come in for the raise to $260. A lot of passive play so far, so I decide to raise it up, and we're only going to get called by the under the gun straddle player who puts in that $80. He decides if it's good for 80, it's good for 260. Just like that, we are heads up to a flop, which comes King Jack 3 with 2 clubs. And he checks it over to me. Overall, a pretty stellar board for me to go for a c-bet on, and I decide to fire out for 1/3 the size of the pot, and the opponent goes nowhere. Does he put in the raise? Does he fold? Absolutely not. He just tosses in 2 black chips just like that. We are off to the turn, which gives me the diamond draw, the 4 of diamonds. In his mind, it really shouldn't change too much, you wouldn't think, but I don't think he's putting me on 7 deuce of diamonds. When he checks it over to me for a second time, I double check to make sure I do in fact have the diamond draw, and I'm not just insanely playing 7 deuce offsuit. When I check my cards and know I have the diamonds, I think a bet is in order. There's $950 in the middle, and I decide on a sizing of $620. I like this bet here because I'm going to have all the kings, jacks, king jack. I'm also going to have all the royal draws, being ace 10 of clubs, ace queen of clubs, queen 10 of clubs. All that good stuff, so I got to keep betting here. Little does he know I have 7 high and a diamond draw. When I fire out for 620, aggression sometimes gets the job done, and by sometimes I mean in this exact spot. He reluctantly folds his cards. 7 deuce of diamonds, gonna take down this pot. And you know what's even more gangster than playing 7 deuce when the game's not even on? Not even showing it to the table. That's right. I asked for a river card, see it comes a diamond, so I would have gotten there, and then I just fold the cards. The whole table will never know that I played it. Well, except for the 100,000 viewers that are watching this YouTube video right now. All right, it's been a few hands since we've battled Ethan. I put on the straddle for $40 and Ethan raises it up to $200 from the button. Pretty standard open, a little 5x here in this big game. Action's back over to me and I look down at pocket tens. Against just an open, I obviously have to come in for a raise, so out of position, I decide to size up here and I pull a bunch of black chips before deciding on an amount of $680. Ethan didn't open the button too lightly here. He decides to defend it in position, puts in the call, and just like that, we are heads up, out of position to a flop, which comes ace high. Never want to see an overcard when you're holding a hand like tens, jacks, queens, or kings. Tens are very vulnerable here, but I think a check just allows Rampage to go ballistic on me. He'll just fire the flop, turn, and river and get me to fold, even if I get sticky on the flop or turn. For that reasoning, I'm going to have all the strong hands like aces, ace, king, all that good stuff. Ethan should have less of those because he didn't decide to put in another raise pre-flop. So for all those reasons, I like a bet out into the opponent, and I decide into the $1,500 pot comes a bet just under $500, and Ethan snap folds. We're 1-1 on the night versus Rampage, although he got a little bit of a bigger one earlier on. Right, the low jack opens it up to $180. Action's on me, and I decide to put in the flat call. Usually I'll be 3-betting or folding, but Jack 10 suited has a lot of playability, and if someone comes in for a squeeze, we probably could call in position. Nobody decides to do that though. We are going heads up in position to a flop, which comes ace, 8, 7 with 2 spades. Not exactly the best board. We only flop ourselves a gutter to the 9, which would give me the nuts as long as it was not a spade. Action's on a low jack. There's 430 in the middle, and he decides on a half pot size bet. I could fold here with my jack high and gutter, but we didn't come to fold at the Bellagio. I put in the call, leading us off to the turn, which gives me more outs, but I still just have jack high. The queen of hearts gives me a double gutter. Any king would give me Broadway, any 9 would give me the nut straight, as long as it's not a heart or a spade. The action's on the low jack. Into the $830 pot comes yet another bet. $600 seems like a fair price to make it. That's what he decides to bet, utilizing 6 black chips, and the action's on me. He started this hand with around $2,800, so I could just shove on him here and put him to the test. But I don't think he's betting out on the flop, and then again big on the turn with anything that's going to fold to a raise. So I think the better play here is just to put in the call now that we pick up more outs, hopefully get there, and then easily get our stack in on the river. I put in the call. We're looking for a king or a 9. We don't want to see a jack or a 10, even though that would give me a pair. And the dealer decides to put out a heart, which is a 3. So definitely not the card we wanted to see. Backdoor hearts get there. We're left with jack high. To make matters worse, the low jack does not decide to slow down and give us an opportunity to bluff. Instead, he just rips it in our face for $1,800, and we are left with a pretty easy decision. I check my cards once again in disbelief as to how I missed all my outs. I fold, he wins, easy game. All right, yet another hand here with our good buddy Rampage. He's in the $80 straddle, and I raise it up from the cutoff with the one and only Jack King off. Ethan puts in the call. We are going heads up to a flop, which comes at 9-9-8. Ethan checks it over to me, and not exactly the best board for my range, so I decide to check it behind. Sure, I'll still have all those pocket pairs like tens, jacks, queens, but if he goes for a check raise and I have those hands, it puts me in a weird spot. I'd have to call once, but as we know, Rampage likes to get aggressive. He would put pressure on, so given the fact I just have king high, I have 2 overs, let's check behind here on the flop and try to spike a good card on the turn. And a good card is not what we get. Comes the 9 of spades, bringing 3 of a kind, and Ethan decides to go for a very respectable bet of $60. For that price, I can't go anywhere. We put in the call. We see a good card for our range. It comes the queen of hearts. Ethan does not decide to slow down. Instead, he bets out for 120. It's a very milky sizing, very small. If he would have checked it to me, it's hard to say what I would have done in the moment, but I'm thinking I probably would have gone for a bluff given the fact I had king high. But instead, when he goes for a small milky sizing of 120, I easily relinquish my cards, and yet again, we'll have to tune into his vlog to see what he had. This next hand, the button decides to raise it up to 200, which makes a lot of sense. We don't know what he has, but it makes a lot of sense. I look down at ace-king offsuit from the big blind, obviously going to have to come in for a raise. $200, I'm out of position. I like anywhere between $600 and $800. Let's see what I decide to do in the moment. I decide not to bet inside of that bracket. Instead, I size up to $820. I don't know why I threw that 20 on there, but that 20 might have scared him a bit. He finds the fold. We're taking down that $350 pot uncontested. Next hand, the $40 straddles on. There is a limp from the small blind, and I'm in the big blind with Queen Jack offsuit. I raise it up to $180, trying to get heads up with one of the opponents, and that's what's going to happen when the small blind only puts in the call. Straddler's out of the way. We're heads up in position from the big blind. Go figure, which comes Jack 10-7 with 2 hearts. Villain checks to me. Great board for my range. I bet out for 180, and he check raises me to 400. Now, what is going on here? Why would he check raise me to 400? He could have any hand like 8-9. He could have any hearts. He could have 2 pair being Jack 10, 10-7. What would his bluffs be? King Queen would be a bluff, but I blocked that with a queen in my hand. And you think he would have raised that pre-flop instead of limping in. So let's eliminate that hand. The other bluffs would be 6-8 and 6-9. So really not that many bluffs I can think of other than the front door heart draw, which is really just a semi-bluff. He has a ton of outs. So definitely have to put in the call here with Queen Jack with the Queen of Hearts. But not loving my spot already when we faced a check raise. The opponent also is playing pretty straightforward. So at this point I'm putting him on 2 pair, a set, or a straight. I put in the call. We're off to the turn, which brings in the front door heart draw. So now all of his semi-bluffs now get there. I do in fact have the Queen of Hearts in my hand, but we could also already be losing versus any king or ace high flush. $1,200 in the middle, and the opponent goes for another sizable bet. $900 is the price if we want to continue. Now, all logic would say, Wolfgang, you have top pair, and you picked up a flush draw with the Queen of Hearts in your hand. You got to put in the call. Yeah, that might be true, and probably I should be putting in the call, but I've played a few hands now with this opponent, and something tells me he has a better hand. He could have anything such as a flush, 8-9, set, 2 pair. He could have all of those assortment of hands. Meanwhile, I'm just left with top pair and a flush draw, not even the nut flush draw, so I decide to fold my cards. It's 900 here, and usually when opponents size up on the turn, they're going for a river jam. And if I break out my heart draw, I'm just going to have to fold anyways, so I decide to save my $900. It might be a tight fold. Let me know down in the comments, but I think against this exact player, probably was a good fold in the long run. All right, I decided to put out the $80 straddle in this one, and we are going to get rewarded by looking down at ace queen offsuit. The big blind decides to limp in once again, so of course I'm going to come in for a raise and make it $240 to go, a little 3x for the boys. And the villain decides to put in the call if it's good for 80. It's of course good for 240. Maybe I could have even sized up a little bit more. We see a good flop here of 7-3-3 with 2 hearts. I say good because it's very unlikely the villain in the big blind is going to have a 3, and he really only would have a 7. I could go blasto on flop, turn, and river and probably get him to fold that. So when he checks it over to me, I decide to go for a c-bet of $160. To my surprise though, the opponent decides to put in the call, leading us off to the turn. We're going to want to see a heart, an ace, or a queen, maybe even a king. I could represent that. We don't want to see is the 8 of diamonds, and now the opponent checks it over to me once again. When he calls me on the flop, he could have a heart flush draw. He could have a hand like ace-7, 7-8, 7-6. He also could have any other pocket pair that I haven't mentioned. When he checks it over to me for a second time, I like both options of checking behind. I think that makes the most sense. If I do bet here, I want to go 2/3 or larger, representing aces, kings, or queens, or even my favorite hand, pocket 7s. I decide to go for the second route and bet out for $500. And we get the snap fold, so aggression is paying off here. Ace-queen high probably was the best hand if he snap folded, but yet again, if he folded a hand like 4s, 5s, or 6s, great fold by him. We're taking down that $900 pot. All right, 2 hands to go now. I look down at ace-7 of hearts from the big blind. Middle position raises it up to $100, and I put in the call. Straddle decides to defend for $60 more, and we are going 3 ways to a flop. I would love to see all hearts, but let's see what the dealer puts out there. Instead, 9-7-3 with 2 diamonds, not exactly the best flop in the world. However, pretty good for my big blind calling range. I start with a check. Straddle checks it over to middle position, and the action's on me. Now, I definitely don't want to fold right off the bat. The reason is I have second pair with a good kicker. Any ace or 7 that peels off on the turn would give me a sneakily good hand. However, I don't want to be folding, and I don't really know if calling is the best option here out of position. A raise would be pretty cool. I only have second pair. I probably could get a hand to fold like pocket 8s, pocket 6s. I could get some diamond draws to fold as well. I could also represent those. So I like spicing in a raise here from time to time. If I'm going to have hands as strong as pocket 3s, pocket 7s, and pocket 9s, 9-7 suited as well. I also need to have some bluffs here, and A7 of hearts falls into that category, so I decided to spice it up here and raise it to 460. The under the gun straddler is going to have a lot of ace king, king queen, queen jack, stuff like that has equity against my second pair, so getting those to fold is a big win. We really only have to get through middle position, who has pretty much uncapped range on this board. He could have 9-7, 7s, 3s. He could even have 3-7 or 3-9 if he's a little bit crazy. But when he decides to fold the actions back over to the straddle, if he calls, I'm going to be putting him on a strong hand like 9-8, ace-8, 10s, queens, jacks, all that good stuff. Luckily for us, though, he folds, and we're taking down that $470 pot. Kind of feels like I stole it there, but I'm adding this move into my repertoire. Like the play, if you see me check raise you on the flop from the big blind, just know I don't always have it. If you guys have made it this far and are not subscribed, what are you doing? Drop a subscribe real quickly. Now let's get into the hand of the night. I look down at the bullets from the cutoff, 6,500 in my stack. So we've worked our way right back to around even. We're in the cutoff, and the hijack, who we've been battling with the entire night, raises it up to $160. Music to my ears. I look down at the bullets, the sharp tops, weapons of mass destruction, and we're looking for some mass destruction on this hand. I decided to 3-bet him up to $480. My $480 bet clears out the field. The hijack decides to put in the call. He's not going to come in for a back raise. Instead, just putting in the call. We're loving it, though. We are going off to a flop. The pot is ballooned up to over $1,000. We see a pretty decent flop, which comes queen, jack 7 with 2 clubs. He checks it over to me, and I go for a c-bet. There's $1,030 in the middle. I like anywhere from $300 to $600. $480 fits into that criteria, and the opponent decides to put in the call. Just like that, we are playing a 2K pot. What could he possibly have? Does he have queen jack? Does he have ace queen, king 10? Does he have the front door club draw? Well, we're down the rabbit hole. We're going to find out. The deuce of diamonds really shouldn't change anything. So when he checks it over to me for a second time, lots of hands to get value from. He could have top pair. He could have the flush draw, straight draw. I'm just hoping he doesn't have a hand like pocket jacks or pocket 7s or queen jack suited. Still, there's $2,000 in the middle, and I want to set up a river jam. That means I have to bet out pretty large here, around half the size of the pot. That's what I decide to do. I assemble a bunch of black chips. Of course, I toss in the token orange chip right on the top. I bet out for $1,220, and the opponent fidgets with his chips. At this point, I'm loving a call. If he decides to put in the call, that would be great news for us. Don't want to see a fold. I don't want to see a raise. Looks like we are going to get the latter of those options. He's cutting out a bunch of black chips. Doesn't really have that much behind. It's around $3,700 total, so just over $2,500 more. If he does raise, I would expect him to jam it all in, and I probably would have to call given the fact there is a front door club draw out there. But now he does something very, very weird and check raises me the minimum. He makes it $2,500, so I guess $100 over the minimum. And usually when opponents do this, it's very, very strong. He only has, like I said, around $3,700 in his stack, so only $1,200 more after this raise. So for me, it would be $2,500 more to put in to effectively put him all in. And yeah, I'm in a gross spot here where he could have any assortment of hands like club draws, 2 pairs, a set of 7s. I don't think the deuce really changed anything. At the end of the day, though, it's getting late here. It's just after 2 in the morning. Approaching 3 a.m., I have pocket aces. It's the best hand I've seen all night, and the opponent is definitely capable of having some bluffs here, or semi-bluffs I should say. So I decided to rip it all in. Let me know down below if this was a crazy move and a punt, but I think there are a lot of club draws. For instance, if I would have had aces with the ace of clubs, I think this could have just been a fold because I am blocking all of his semi-bluffs, but without the ace of clubs, made it a little bit easier for me to put in the call. And yeah, let's roll the table audio here. He does in fact say he has a set. We can run it twice if you want.
I got a set.
Okay, let's run it twice then. Yeah. So yeah, after hearing the bad news that he has a set, we decide to run it 2 times. He's nice enough to do that. First board comes the 8 of clubs. The second one comes the queen of hearts. He does in fact turn over the set. Needle in my stomach. It's my favorite hand. Pocket 7s. I'm wearing the hat. How horrible is that? That 10K pot is getting shipped over the hijack's way, and he's going to beat us with our own hand. How disrespectful. After counting out enough chips to pay him off, we're left with a measly $1,785. It's a net loss of just over $5,000. And now let's bring it back into real time in Dallas for my thoughts and final conclusions how I did at the WSOP. Yeah, so that's going to wrap up that 10, 20, 40 session at the Bellagio. Not the way we wanted to end it. We ended up getting out of that game for $17.85, so a net loss of $52.85 to wrap up our 3 weeks in Vegas. Let's go over some numbers. All right, let's go over how we did at the WSOP. I was there for 3 weeks. I went there with the goal of firing my first ever main event, playing some cash games, filming some content with my friends. In all, we ended up playing 15 tournaments, and one of them was the main event, which we cashed for $15K, but in those 15 tournaments, we ended up losing $9,933. It gets a little bit worse because we played cash 6 times, and in those 6 cash game sessions, we ended up losing $364. The highlight of those cash games was the largest pot I've ever played and won at Big Bet Bally's Poker. I played a 28K pot, but as you just saw in this video absolutely nullified all that. We ended up losing $364 in 6 cash game sessions, but the only caveat is the one late night DGen session of blackjack with all of those cool people like Nick Austin, Tom Dwan, Madison Beer, all those cool people. We ended up winning $6,000. So the only thing apparently I can win at in Vegas is blackjack. Hope the comps make up for my net loss of $42.97 in those 3 aspects of my Vegas trip, but more so than that, it was a fun experience playing the Colossus I cashed in and the main event, and just making it to day 4 was a pretty cool experience. I got a video out of it. The Hendon Mob is finally going in the right direction. For those of you that don't know what that is, you can look up anybody and see their tournament stats. It's Hendon Mob, and then you type their name in. We're up to 20,000 in cashes, which is pretty cool, and a lot of good experience for next year, and that's honestly a very valuable thing. A lot of people just enter the tournaments, and if you know kind of like what to do now that I've played 15 of them this year, hoping going forward in 2024, I'm going to have a meteoric rise like my buddy Ethan. But as for now, I'm going to wrap up this video. Enough babbling. I hope all that information on the shorts that I posted earlier in this video was interesting. If you guys want to see more of that kind of stuff, maybe I do like a monthly check-in, seeing how many subs I grew that month, how many views, what I think is working. Let me know down below. I don't want to post that on videos and then bore some of you. So if you find that interesting, let me know. If not, good luck on the felch, you guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace!